This is the Dirshu Mishnah Berurah, and today we're going to be learning the entirety of Siman Chav Gimel, Sifim Aleph through Dalid, and as well beginning Sif Chav Dalid, learning Sif Aleph through Dalid as well. And again, this is almost the end of Hilchos Tzitzis. We're closing in a few more days. I invite everyone to invite a friend to learn together, not necessarily with us, but to learn the Mishnah Berurah every single day with us as well. It's beautiful. And as many people have commented, Olam Hazeh as well. It's geshmak, it's fun, it's enjoyable to be able to learn such relevant halachas. And we begin with Siman Chav Gimel, in which the Mechaber coins this halacha dinei tzitzis bebeis hakvaros, the halacha of wearing tzitzis in the beis hakvaros. Says the Mechaber, moter likanis beis hakvaros, who love his tzitzis, you're allowed to come into the beis hakvaros, the cemetery, while wearing tzitzis. V'ushla nigrar al hakvaros. Be careful that the strings should not drag on the graves. Avol continues Mishnah Mechaber, avol nigrar al hakvaros, also misham loig l'rosh. But if your strings drag on the grave, then it's forbidden. Why? Because loig l'rosh, literally, that you're mocking the rosh, the destitute, those that are poor, the dead, the niftarim, that are destitute and poor from mitzvahs. You're mocking them by dragging the mitzvah all over them. Says the Mechaber, medvar mamurim, when is this? When was this? When they put the tzitzis on their clothing. Avol anu, says the Mechaber, why do we wear our tzitzis? Not because it's a four-cornered garment that we put the tzitzis on. No, it's a separate garment specifically for the mitzvah. Then it is forbidden, even if it is not dragging on the grave. When you see the tzitzis. But if the tzitzis are covered, mutter, then it is allowed. Continues the Mechaber Sef Beis, those that tie the two tzitzis in tie two tassels to two corners of the garment to each other when they enter. Says the Mechaber, this does not do anything. We'll see what this means in a moment. Continues the Mechaber and says, if you're within the 4 amos of the dead itself, I shall cover, or the grave. Then it says, if you're in the cemetery, so if you're not in the cemetery, but we're in the proximity of a grave, the dinim that we're discussing apply. In a place, continues the Mechaber in Sif Gimel, continues the Mechaber in Sif. That's incredibly funny. Yes, there's a bit of a typo over here. In most Mishnah Berurahs, by B'Makoim, this is Sif Dalid. Over here, it seems like it doesn't have the Sif Dalid, but this is beginning Sif Dalid. Says the Mechaber, B'Makoim Shenagul Nahasir Tzitzis, in a place where they remove the Tzitzis, Meitalis HaMeis Babayis, from the talus of the dead person while in the house. Im Aktafim Leifshin Tzitzis, if the Ktafim, those who are carrying Kata from the Lashon of shoulders, those who are carrying the dead, are wearing Tzitzis, Ikalamechash Ba'im Misham Loig Larash, then there's a concern of Loig Larash, which we'll see what all this means. So here we have a bit of Hilchos Avelos, which let's begin with the Mechaber Mishnah Berurah Sivkot and Aleph. So what is the reason not to wear tzitzis in a graveyard? Loig Larash, says the Mishnah Berurah, Shenira Kimacharif. You know what it looks like? It looks like you're mocking the dead. It looks like you're making fun. Look, you don't have any mitzvahs. Well, I do. She'en yochel lekayim is a mitzvah. Says Mishnah Berurah Sivkot and Beis L'tzarich Atzmam She'oz Minag Bigdeim Asuyim B'nei Arba Kanafos, because they used to wear 4-corner garments. However, we do not, and therefore we should never wear our tzitzis in the cemetery. But said the Mechaber, but if it's mechusim, if it's covered, then it's okay. Kigoin shemachbis tzitzis shel talis gadol tachas kanfik susay. If you're wearing a talis gadol, you put under your coat, your shirt. Umehaytayma gam b'talis katan, says Mishnah Berurah shaloi shetachas lemadav. You're wearing the talis katan already under your clothing, says the Mishnah Berurah. Therefore, aim by misham like l'rash, kim shemachosik, because it's covered up. Unless you're not wearing a shirt or a jacket. You have to tuck them in. Even though that's covered, another mile of the talis gadol. So make sure the tzitzis are covered And the Mishnah Berurah here pointing out that our talis katanim, because it is covered by our shirt, it is not such an issue. However, as many people know, if the strings themselves are revealed, if someone is wearing his tzitzis out, and therefore you see the strings, those should be tucked in. Continues the Mishnah Berurah and Sifkat and Dalid, discussing this interesting minhag that they would tie the front two strings together, and said the Mechaber doesn't help. Says the Mishnah Berurah, they tie it together. The tying it together doesn't make it that it's not tzitzis anymore. Why not? It's not a permanent knot. It's the basic of ours because you're going to untie it right when you leave. As we've seen in the past. So tying two of the strings together does not help. And if they were right, says Mishnah Berurah, they're taking the tzitzis strings, tying them together to make it that it's not loig l'rosh. They're not doing a mitzvah. But says Mishnah Berurah, first of all, it doesn't do anything because it's not a permanent knot. Secondly, even if it did do something, then what are you doing? Then you're wearing a garment without tzitzis, which is a terrible problem as well. And we continued in Sif Gimel with the Mechaber teaching us that if you're within 4 amos of the dead body, it's as if you're in the Beis HaKvaros, 4 amos of the Kever, afilu b'kever shel katan, even if a child, you still be careful. The Shema Nishmas Adam Gadol, maybe this child had the Nisham of another Gadol. So even though the child himself was never chayiv in tzitzis because he's a kid, but maybe it was the Nisham of an Adam Gadol, and therefore you have to be careful of loig l'rosh. Aval b'kever, Isha, what about a woman? The b'chaya gamkin b'tura. She was parted from tzitzis lekam misham loig l'rosh. There is no concern. But we said if you're near the grave, it's dina kinichlas beis hakvaros. I like 1:7 memhei b'mishnah berurah b'makish enagim. And then we concluded over here in Sif Dalid that in the place in which the custom is to take the tzitzis off of the dead person, then you should be careful with loig l'rosh. Even if we don't do this, and many people are wondering, many of us don't necessarily deal with the nifter, so we don't do that. Still, says the Mishnah Berurah and Paskins, based off of the Rekanti, interestingly, no, from the Magen Avraham and the Gaon, excuse me, so even if it's not that the mace himself is being removed, his tzitzis just being around the mace, that is a problem. As we've seen already, as the tzitzis are revealed. So again, part A of today's shir, the end of Simon Chav Gimel, is teaching us the severity of mocking the mace and how real it is we have to be. This is the famous story of the Gaon, that you can be kind of with a few dollars, but wearing your tzitzis, and after one is no longer, you can't do anything. How careful we have to be, both, of course, with the mitzvah of tzitzis, and as well when one is either in a Beis HaKvaros or around the mace, to ensure that the tzitzis are not megula, they are not revealed. And we continue over here in Siman Chav Dalid, in which the Mechaber coins Hanagas Levishas Atitas Uscharav Ansha. As we're concluding Hilchos Tzitzis, we've had little pearls, little gems throughout of the Maila, of the incredible reward of tzitzis. But now we're going to get it all lumped together. Says the Mechaber Sif Aleph. A detail that we've discussed many times. If you're not wearing a 4-corner garment, you don't have to wear tzitzis. But says the Mechaber, v'toiv, v'nachin, it's good and proper. Li'is kol adam, every person. Zoyer, to be careful, lil b'shalas katan kol yom, to wear it all day. Why? Kadesh yizkar mitzvah b'chol regas. You remember the mitzvahs. V'alkeina, therefore, yish b'chamisha ksharim. Says the Mechaber, how do you remember the mitzvahs when you wear tzitzis? There are 5 knots. Keneged chavnei shechom sheitayra v'aver kenafim in the 4 corners. Shemkol tzad gifneh. Wherever you turn, you're going to see 5, and you're going to remember the 5 books of the Torah. V'nachal lov she'al malbushim, you should wear it on top of your clothing. Lepachot izar she'yilavish tzitzis b'shas tefillah. At the very least, when you daven, you should wear your tzitzis. So before we go into Sif Beis, let's learn the Mishnah Berurah over here in Sif Katan Aleph on Sif Aleph. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Kadesh Yizkir, you should remember the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Tugmal Davar, says the Mishnah Berurah, I'll give you a mashal. I warn you about one thing. When I warn you, I tie on a knot, you wear like that band, you put on that ribbon to remember it. That's our tzitzis, to remember, remind us of the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. Al Malbushim, said the Mishnah Berurah, you should wear it on your clothing. Ayin La'el, Simen Ches, see above in Simen Ches, Siv Al Mishnah Berurah, Mashik San Nusha. B'shas Tefillah, but at the very least, when when you daven. Kriya Shema. Visa bezayar b'asher shlach lecha. Says Mishnah Berurah. Sivkot Gimel. Da koyre kriya shavli tzitzis meizay the shaker b'atzmai. As we'll see in Hilchos Tefillin as well. Because in the parasha of tzitzis it talks about tzitzis. So if you're leaning and you're saying the mitzvah of Kriya Shema, how can you do it without your tzitzis? Shekari parasha tzitzis ve'ena mekayim akron. You're not fulfilling the mitzvah. Kaz v'chayad. Loitay v'yisem. They're not doing anything good. Amoinam. The populace of people shemispalim b'derech. But loy talis katan. When they down without a talis, I'll be roi v'talis katan. They noise a kedin. Says the chayadam. Their talis ketanim aren't kosher. V'chol bratav she roi levarich lev. You can't make a brach on it. Kama yashiba layla, and you slept in it at night, so you can't make a brach on it. So make sure to wear your talis katan by davening. If the zayin Mishnah Berurah, and that is Sif Aleph. Continues in the Mishnah Berurah, the Mechaber and Sif Beis. Mitzvah lecha is that it is biyat smilis in your left hand, can I get by opposite your heart? Shas Krishma. Rem is the davar. These words should be on your heart. You'll do tzitzis opposite your heart. Says Mechaber and Sif Gimel. When you put on the tzitzis and you're wrapping yourself, you should look at the tzitzis when you make the bracha. And we conclude with Sif Dalad. In Kriya Shema, when you say Risa, you should look at the tzitzis and to put them on your eyes. It's a beautiful mitzvah, and those that are dear to the mitzvah. So what do? It says the Mechaber, look at them and put it in your eye. Says the Ramah, and you should give it a little kiss. When you see it, the way Ramosha Feinstein explains it, what? Your tzitzis are going to be so close to your mouth and you're not going to kiss it. You're holding your little baby. You don't hold them close to your face and not give it a kiss. So to your tzitzis. But the Mechaber just said to put it in your eyes. In many Sfardim, one will see doing just like the words of the Mechaber, just putting it on their eyes. Continues the Mishnah Berurah Sivkot and Dalet, you hold in your left hand. Kosa because they are Rizal. Sheikhs then bein kamitza lezeres, between the kamitza and the zeres. The pinky is the zeres. The kamitza is the finger next to the pinky. And of course we know because that's how you do kamitza, by grabbing it. So you're holding your tzitzis. You are holding your tzitzis between the kamitza and your zeres. And when you get to Parashat Tzitzis, you put in your right hand and you look at them. And you should hold them until in the next till you get to and then what do? So you hold them, and then by la'ad you give it a kiss, and then you let go of them. Said the Mechaber, you hold it al livavecha, so it's in your left hand between the pinky and the next finger opposite your heart. Va'alevu b'smal on the left side. U'mitzazu matzil adam and ached, it saves you from sin. Dechsev aloi sasuru laman tizkru v'yisem kedoshin. Va'av t'chol shar mitzvahs ein bahem zois haskula atzila mitzahara. Va'av t'chol shar mitzvahs don't have this skula to save you from the Yitzhahara. Tzitzis adif. You see the maila that the tzitzis, aside from the incredible schar, has an incredible skula to save you from the Yitzhahara. K'nis above the demenachais, mais above the mechad, who's going to go and do a dreadful aveira, and the tzitzis were the one that ultimately saved them. When you see them, you come to remember. So when you're putting on the talis before you make the bracha, what do? You look at the tzitzis. And we conclude that what do you do with your tzitzis? The Mechaber said you put it ala anayim on your eyes. I should say better like this, because it's in your right hand, and then you bring it to your eyes. Nimsa v'shema kadmainim, says in Mishnah Berurah, in the name of the kadmainim, shekol ha'mavir tzitzis la'inav k'shekayir b'ash tzitzis, ye'imoftach lo yavli dei simu yinayim, you will not come to blinding of your eyes. We need to have good eyesight. Make sure to put the tzitzis on your eyes. Hasuma yesh l'echaz tzitzis biyadei b'shatz kriya shema, a blind person should hold the tzitzis in his hand. Even though it says to see them, because it's possible to be seen by other people, so he should hold them as well. A blind person does not put this on his eyes. The makes it as if it's a joke, so he can't really see. And that is the end of what we're doing with our tzitzis. The maila, reminding us of the symbol, the reminder of that which we are doing every single day. The left hand, opposite your heart, the incredible skula not to do aveiros. And we'll pick it up from Sefei in the next year. B'siyata d'ishmayo.